Well, today my very beautiful special guest is Carrie-Anne Fields, and Carrie-Anne Fields has accomplished a lot in her lifetime. She has a YouTube channel that's I think relatively recent. Is that right? But you've had a Facebook page for quite a long time with a huge following called Carried by Grace, and we have a lot of synchronicities, Carrie-Anne, because my favorite word is grace. I love grace, and I love that you've called your Facebook site that, and you are a writer. You can tell, when you come across a writer because they word everything so well, and you express yourself so well. And I love the insights that you share on your Facebook page. I often read them and go, oh yes, I totally resonate with that. And you say things really well, and you're extremely authentic. And I love also that you have that very strong metaphysical, spiritual component where you're very connected to the divine, and you have all these amazing experiences. So I hope we can cover some of them today. So it's a joy to welcome you. Welcome to my channel, Carrie-Anne.
Oh, thank you, beautiful Medina, and an honor to be here with you, lovely. Loving all that you're offering to Earth and the galaxy.
Oh, thank you so much. Same, same. And we have so much in common aside from um, the fact that we have, a public profile. We're doing similar things, but we are both living on islands. So I could tentatively call this the two island gals. That's right.
I know, I love that. And where you live is so beautifully remote. You're the same as me. Well, it's like quick, get out of the matrix
I
ASAP.
know, I know. And you're on an island in the South Pacific. Um,
Yeah.
can I say one of the Vanuatu Islands? Is that right to say?
Yes,
Yes, yes.
yes.
And
Look, there's 83 Vanuatu Islands. They won't find me.
oh, 83. My gosh, I never knew that.
Yeah.
I went to
Used to be
Vanuatu.
connected.
Sorry?
Yeah, we used to be connected to Australia back like another epoch of time,
Yes.
and it broke away over time. And I think they knew something consciousness wise what was going to go down in Australia, so they're like, we just cruise over here, do our own
They're not silly.
thing.
I went to Vanuatu, and oh my gosh, I've never seen such pure joyful expressions on the smiles of the children. And they don't have a lot of stuff, a lot of material things from when I went there. But they had this pure joyful essence in the energy of the children, which was so good to see. It reminds me a little bit of these beautiful children behind me, the Palestinian Israeli girl that are sharing beautiful unconditional love, which of course is a message that we want to put out in the world at the moment. And this is the latest post on Carrie-Anne's Facebook page, so I thought it was very appropriate. But yeah, aren't they amazing? The energy of the children there on the island.
Yes, and that post actually was shared by a beautiful dear sister of mine in the UK. Her name's Carly Shireen, and oh, she actually wrote that one, and I had to share it. I don't often share. I've got into the habit of not just sharing everybody's post, just keep my page nice and clean and to the point, because otherwise, we're starting to integrate all different energy fields that may not be aligned. And but this post that she wrote was so on point, and it came off the back a couple of days ago. I was downloading about just that pure wisdom that comes from children, that if we listen to children, they they're not politically correct, so they'll go straight to the heart of what we need to hear. Same too with our own inner little boy or inner little girl, that there's this wisdom and there's no BS that comes through that will guide us. If only we could stop, pause, breathe, go inward, listen. And sometimes your inner little girl or your inner little boy will trigger you. It's like, hey, they'll call you out on things that you're doing as an adult that aren't aligned with grace. Let's use that word, because that's what it is. It's not aligned with grace, and therefore we have to keep upgrading. And it's that's what we need to do. And we see what's happening in Gaza, and it's there's really no words, Medina, from a 3D human perspective to describe what's going on there. Oftentimes, and I mean no disrespect, we almost view it like it is a video game. And because that's how humans are treating each other, that, oh, we can terminate you at any time, and that's okay. And the truth is, this realm is both real and it's also a simulation and a hologram. So we don't have to take anything too seriously. But then if we don't use all that negativity to activate ourselves, to become more loving, to send energy, we could all just send healing energy right now to Gaza. We can do that in 2 seconds. It doesn't take us humans long to use our technology and direct energy where we need it to go. And I believe we all need to step up a lot more, with our curiosity about what's actually happening here, and devote some time, whether people call it prayer or meditation or light work, love work. It doesn't really matter. It's our responsibility, all of us, to be doing this. And I know that's what you do, and I know that's why you speak out and speak up, and it is so important.
Absolutely, that's brilliant. I mean, I totally agree with everything you just said. And, I think that people perhaps, I just had a thought come to me as you were speaking. Perhaps, maybe, do you think that people shut their heart because they see these things happening and they don't want to feel how deeply disturbing it is, and we see what's happening, to the Palestinians there, and or anyone who is affected by this in the sense of the war and the violence, and so because we don't want to feel how that really feels, to open our heart to that. Do you think that's why some people shut their heart down at the moment?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more, because it hurts to feel, particularly when you first dive into your inner consciousness. There's so much cleaning that we have to do initially. And sometimes it's easier just to stick with the big old ego that thinks that you're great and your shit doesn't stink. And hey, you know, I'm doing all right. I don't care about anyone else. So many times I hear people say, oh, well, as long as my family's okay. So it's very insular view. And even, we think about not long ago what came into the public arena in a very confrontational and a very big scale was that movie Sound of Freedom. I haven't seen it, so I can't comment from that perspective, but I can comment from the energetic perspective that it almost forces people to open their heart. But of course, when you first do that, you could be in a puddle of tears, not knowing how to get yourself up off the floor.
Yeah.
You wake up to the horrors in this world, and the first question I hear people say is, what can I do? And I feel like that's a great thing. What can I do? They want to help, but we have to remember that not all of us are designed to help on a massive scale, on a large scale. We may not be warriors who are military trained that can go into tunnels and these kinds of things to pull children out on the front line. What we can do, though, is to keep opening our heart, keep shedding that grief, keep going into deeper insights of our own personal consciousness to understand how realities work, how energy works, and then to utilize our very cosmic and very sacred consciousness that's residing in a 3D vessel and send energy where you need it to go. And everyone can do that. Everyone has that power. We have this projection technique out of the third eye, like a laser. It can go anywhere we want it to do. We are creators. And I feel like the dumbing down of consciousness, that we're the little eye and we don't matter and we'll just toe the line with the governments, and we'll just let them direct us, and we kind of like a nanny state. Oh, we like being told what to do because they'll look after us. No, they're actually feeding off your consciousness. They're feeding off your energy. You're now a battery supply for their agendas. So can we all rise up? Like your channel's called Arise Humanity. Can we all
I couldn't think of
arise?
anything else. I can't say it better than that.
Arise, awaken.
Yeah,
Remember who you are. You're a cosmic conscious creator. You couldn't be anything else. How could we be disconnected from source? It can't exist, I think therefore I am. Hey, I'm having an experience. I might as well do what I can do with this creative experience that I have. And before AI really attacks the mainframes of many souls, let's exercise our free will, because we've still got it intact, most of us. So, we're directors here. We get to decide too.
that's right. So true. Gosh, I got so many points I couldn't make of what you've just said. Now, where do I go first? Well, I think that humanity have been put into like a mindset where they're sort of like a state of familiarity of what they've done before. They just want to continue doing, and they don't want to step out of that. So that's part of that sort of keeping the status quo the same as it's always been, and because anything beyond that can, you know, create fear. And so I think people have to be able to confront their ability to go further, and to do things they haven't done before, and to step out of what's comfortable. So that's one point I'd like to make with what you've just said. The other I think is really helpful is to be able to go more and more inward, and to be able to ask the divine, you know, if you've got this connection with the divine and with, you know, your higher self, ask, what is my divine soul purpose or soul mission for being here at this time? Please let me be an instrument of the divine in the way that is you know, expressing what needs to be done through you. You know, it's not based on my own ego or my own false sort of ideals or whatever, but I'm actually an instrument of God, and that I am able to help in the best way possible through the abilities and the gifts that I have as a soul. So please guide me, you know, to what I personally need to do that can make the greatest difference at this time. And I think if people sit quietly in that space and open up to God and ask, or I don't always use the word God because it has religious connotations. I like the word divine myself, but anyway.
Let's talk about that and why. Yeah.
Yes. So, you know, I think that's a beautiful way to do that as well. And, you know, then you are receiving authentic guidance to what is going to flow for you, and also support the ascension of humanity in the best way possible. And I think really encourage everyone to try and do that and see how you go. What were you going to say, Carrie-Anne?
Absolutely. Oh, that was just, yeah, beautifully said. The divine, I feel, is a, I'm not going to say better or worse. Everyone's got to find their own unique speech. I think sometimes when we mimic each other too, it can become inauthentic. So if divine for you resonates, it also resonates for me, and I'll explain why. It's because it's the twin forces of God, Goddess. Every time we say God, we automatically default to a masculine persona, and it certainly is not. It's certainly God and Goddess. So the divine speaks to the two vines, the twin flaming within self of, I mean, I'm a yogi for 25 years. The Ida and Pingala Nadis, we call it in yoga. Again, language does not matter at this point. It's that knowing of self deep within that, of course, there's the polarities, but when the polarities intertwine like they do, coming up through the spine, and the chakras illuminate and blossom and draw in more cosmic energy, then we know that there is God, Goddess. There is the divine. There is, sometimes I'll default to a monad kind of structure, like the oneness. I'll call it, you know, the monad. I'll call it source code. Source code's a great term because it helps us to liken it then to technology. A lot of people will automatically accept computers and computer technology, and they know that there's a coding system that goes on in the background to create on a website, for instance, all these pretty pictures. And yet they won't translate or transfer that to their own DNA code, that once that comes online, it creates all these pretty pictures in your 3D scape. So source code is that adherence to what you were talking about, that asking, please use me as that instrument. Please let me be that. I choose, I'm in allegiance with that source code, the real source code, not the computer algorithmic AI one that's going to sequester your consciousness, but the one that is purely organic, that is pure love, that comes through us. If we are an instrument for that, then, I mean, not only is it good times here on earth, but we're the force that's unstoppable. Not because we have an agenda to take anyone's power, just because we're radiating that frequency. And honestly, it's not that difficult, and it's available for everyone. There's no one's cut off from the pure source code. No one. Like, it doesn't matter. I've been a consciousness teacher for 25 years. It does not mean that I'm any further along in my ability to take in source code. Everyone in this now moment has the same ability. That's
And
what's exciting.
isn't it exciting? And it's so accelerated. Like all the time, all the downloads we're receiving, the activations of this raising in consciousness is it's palpable, isn't it? And it's every day, you can feel more and more. It's like, and it does push you, it brings up your stuff, it brings up your shadow stuff, you've got to work through things. It was really funny. I'm generally relatively stable in my energy, and Peter along at quite nice sort of rate. But Saturday I had the most magnificent day. It was brilliant, a beautiful day. Then Sunday there was a lot of challenges. It was like this was yesterday's like so you're getting all that stuff at the moment with this acceleration and the upgrading of our DNA. How do you suggest people deal with that, and what's your experience of that, Carrie-Anne?
Yeah, and it's happening more and more for all of us. It really is the analogy of the roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
I was actually the same on Saturday. I had the most blissful day, and I was going to say to you, it's probably also too because we've made the choice, not because we're lucky, we've made the choice to live on islands to remove ourselves from a lot of the negative electromagnetic frequencies. People can say, "Oh, you're so lucky, you live in paradise." No, you got to go through initiations to get yourself to a point where you're able to withstand a lot of solitude and a lot of silence to be in these spaces as well. So it's
And
I
you've
believe
got
it's
to
kind of that.
sacrifice. Sorry for interrupting, but you've got to sacrifice
Yeah,
certain things to be able to achieve that and let go of things that maybe are
yeah.
important to your heart, but it's not the priority of where your soul needs to be. So yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, that is exactly what it is. And interesting for me, I've been in a 25-year relationship. Everything's 25 for me this year. My business and my romance. But he lives part of the time in Australia, and I go there, and he comes here, and we go back and forth. So sometimes I actually truly am in absolute aloneness, absolute solitude. Now I choose it. I love it. I can go so deep into meditation, and I'm having inner chats with all sorts of divine beings,
Well,
and
we're going to ask you
sometimes,
about that.
yeah, sometimes look at it not so much divine beings doing a bit of astral combat, but hey, I love it. But so I'd say for us, we do have many blissful moments because we're in connection with nature a lot. But because of the consciousness upgrades, I was the same Saturday. By Saturday night, despite having a really blissful day, I'd swum several times, I'd bopped around the garden, I'd eaten fruit, and it's like, oh, this is my garden of Eden. And but yeah, there was a frequency that was so off, and I feel like it's great to talk about because, of course, it could be our own personal healing that needs to be done, but sometimes light workers, light warriors go in and sort of balance frequencies on behalf of the collective. And as this AI force, this satanic force keeps gearing up because we're coming to the end of a galactic cycle, so they're like, all right, what we got in the arsenal? We're just gonna throw
That's right. Let's throw it all in.
yeah, like if 2020 wasn't enough for you, we're coming harder. Like we're gearing up to 2030. There's an agenda, and I'm sure you've covered these sorts of things in your shows. And if not, people can go and go down some rabbit holes if they choose. But it's on. It's on like Donkey Kong. Like there's a
Yeah,
war on consciousness,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
so that's okay though, because I see it from a very heightened perspective and a deep perspective that we need that negative charge to activate us into higher spiritual technology. So, hey, throw it at us. We can sit here and balance the frequencies. But of course, it doesn't feel great, does it, Medina, when we're in those spaces? And I think a lot of people would want to pull out at that point. They go, I'm doing it wrong. I thought spirituality was love and light. Oh, I thought, we're just going to hang with unicorns. No, it's like, there's some Draco reptilians as well as some unicorns.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Let's get real here. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Let's get real, unreal. Yeah. And so, and it depends what's going on. So sometimes I've got so many beautiful souls that are in my orbit that do this kind of work. A lot of them do it just even unconsciously in their sleep, in the astral spaces while they're asleep. But they wake up and they know they've done something. Things are
Oh,
going
yes,
on. Yeah,
absolutely.
we're
And
balanced.
I think your point about the Draco reptilians is so true. I mean, there's a higher level that we need to also take in that explains why everything is as it is. And if we don't get that sort of awareness or that consciousness, it doesn't necessarily all make sense, because you think, how can a human being do that to one another? But then when you realize there are these other levels there, well, that has a totally different meaning and perspective. And I think the other thing that I'm noticing, Carrie-Anne, is that not only am I doing consciously during the day so many things to try and contribute to to this whole process, you know, in the ways that I can, but at nighttime, you know, there's so much going on, and I'm on the astral level. You know, I'm often connecting with different people, and I get people say to me, "Oh, we connected last night in a dream, and we were doing something," or then I'll wake up with somebody in my consciousness, and we've been out fighting the bad guys or something like this, you know. So we're non-stop on the astral, you know, doing all this work, and then we wake up and then we're doing all this work. It's like, no wonder we're tired. So.
Oh, right. Like the soul fatigue is off the chart. It's I got to come to Vanuatu, Medina. Just like sometimes I'm just like, okay, guys, that's it. I'm going to sleep now for a couple of days. Check years when I'm out, because
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a lot.
I know,
It's a lot.
I know,
And sometimes too, as you say, and oftentimes in sleep. And I get woken up at galactic hour, 3 a.m., you know, with a tap on the shoulder from, I'm like, well, who's here? Who wants to talk to me? And, you know, last night or early this morning, I had Archangel Gabriel come in, and I haven't had him come in probably since I was, I don't know, quite young. And, you know, he's back, and he's got a really nurturing, beautiful, balanced frequency. And, you know, so many beings in those planes give me a lot of training and insights and downloads to share. And it's, you know, it's exquisite, and I just adore those spaces. Like I could stay in there for hours.
Oh, that's
And
so
I know,
beautiful. I
yeah,
love
I
that.
know.
I call
Yes.
on Archangel Gabriel a lot because he helps with communication,
Oh,
and in doing what we're doing,
oh,
we need that help. I say, look, if I get
okay,
stuck,
there's the confirmation.
that's right,
Right.
that's right.
Got
I
it.
say, if I get
Got
stuck,
it.
please come in and just help me find the right words. But
Oh, so he's
I was,
connected to you. That's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, and because you're so good with words and you're a writer, I can see that he would really want to be, you know, working with you. So that is a really beautiful thing. I love the archangels. So can you share with us a little bit about, you know, when you go in, some of the things that you do and the energies that you're connecting with, just to sort of share with people, you know, the opportunity that's there for other people to be able to do that if they choose to go inward and, you know, connect themselves. You know, they might be able to do these things themselves. So
Yeah, everyone can do it. You need a really great imagination. We were all doing it, you know, let's bring it back again to that beautiful image behind you. We were all doing it as children. It was just natural. One of the greatest crimes against humanity was to be told that our imagination is not real, because it cut us off from our higher dimensional fields. And you know, it's therefore we get locked down into this 3D box, and the box is getting smaller. Now we're in 2D boxes because we've got little avatars in social media, and you know, we've got to work within the parameters of that technology and that 2D dimension. And I have no problem with the use of social media or any of the technology, but it's knowing how it all works, and ultimately how it can hook in to your consciousness. So everything has to come with you know, awareness and balance. Same too, there's so many people that trip out all the time into higher dimensions that need to bring themselves back to the 3D and ground.
and they're not grounded, and they don't know how to function necessarily in the reality that we exist in, because they're off, and sort of, they say, well, the terminology, I guess, airy fairy or something like that, where they can't function in a grounded way. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, going into these portals, into these dimensions, is as easy as clicking on the Facebook app on your phone. That's how easy it is. Anyone that wants to make it more complicated than that is fooling you, and it's probably a charlatan trying to sell you some fancy course. And I've got a course in it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying courses in astral traveling are negative, but it's not that complicated. It's about going inward, breathing, looking up inwards and upwards into the third eye center, understanding that your third eye is in a cinematic lens. better than Netflix. That's all I can say. Again, I don't have a problem with Netflix. Sometimes I use Netflix. Yeah. I don't have a problem with any of it. But just remember, we've got the technology. We've got the more heightened technology than anything that we're being offered outside of ourselves. Absolutely. So it's an inner cinematic lens. And once you get attuned to it, you can go on all sorts of adventures. You know, it's Aladdin's magic carpet ride. It will take you where you choose to go. You commandeer the travel, the journey. And if you're not, then you're not able to command your own energy. And probably people like that are the people in the 3D that let people suck their energy, that are people pleasers, that can't say no, that can't put boundaries up when they need to. So it works the same in the astral or in the higher cosmic planes.
Can I say too that when you talk about using your imagination, it's sort of like the difference between, you know, when you read a book and then you go into your imagination and you imagine it and you visualize it and see it all, as opposed to watching a movie where it's all laid out for you in front of you and you can't take it to the next level. I think that's a good analogy.
I love that. That is a perfect analogy, and I might use that myself, Medina. That's a great way to describe it. It's so true.
Yeah.
And so why do people accept it that we read books and we have our inner adventure, and my inner adventure with that book may be different to your inner adventure with the exact same book and the exact same script. And so this is really all that we're doing. And you know, I would say be proficient in meditation, but again, meditation is just the same thing. Close your eyes, breathe, look inwards and upwards. Sometimes if you don't want to see things, place your awareness into your heart center or one of your other chakras. You know, you might need to tune up the instrument. You spoke about us being an instrument before. You know, tune up the instrument with the chakra octaves or the chakra colors or the chakra lessons, whatever's going on in there. It's truly not difficult because of so much infiltration in the consciousness arenas, you know, the new age and the new cage and the fake woke and all of this. We've got to be discerning, you know, of knowing what is real and what is unreal. What is real? If someone's trying to sell us something and it's going to cost you 10 grand to go and get some activation, I'd just go around it, you know? Like, having said that, I do perceive and know that people deserve to charge. I've had a healing and yoga business, and we teach yoga teachers and we teach healers. We're a training academy. So I know that, yes, you have to charge money if you're going to operate a business, but it's not that difficult and it shouldn't be that expensive. It should be priced where it's available for all, where the techniques are not secret, and that we just dive in and we learn the simple things and then we get on and we practice it, because it's in the practice and it's in the accessing of it within self that's important, and it's all there for all of us. Even what I've just said in this show, even the brief things that I've said, people could go away and start practicing that and come online with this technology in their third eye and then be able to go out and affect what's happening in the astral. So in the lower astral planes, and I feel this would be appropriate to talk about in your kind of show, Medina, those who want to go and tweak some timelines or confront some of these darker astral deities that are siphoning consciousness, life force, that are wanting to pen the humans into certain ways of thinking and believing and acting, you can go in and you can confront these beings and you can say, I do not consent. And I am not having it. You will not suck off my life force energy. And I will keep coming back into these planes, confronting you, because these beings are, whilst they've gotten away with a lot over thousands of years, they are weak characters. They are lower dimensional sludges, thugs, thieves. They're grotesque, they're ugly. They have to be ugly because they don't embody source code very much. They've got just about nothing left. You go up and you face the bully and you just say, that's enough. Like, we're not doing this anymore.
If you throw in the name of Christ, they really don't like that. The name of Jesus Christ, they really don't like that.
No, they don't. But the problem with throwing in the name of Christ is that people, again, like you said, the default then to God, Christ, all of these things that are dogmatic and religious and fake woke and all of these things, if it's not pure coming from your heart, if you didn't feel it when you said it, if you just went, oh, cries, because I'm so scared I want it to go away, it doesn't, okay, it's not. Don't feel
Oh,
you've got to
sorry,
use those.
Carrie-Anne, you froze there, so I might get you to backtrack and repeat that, and I can just edit that
Oh,
bit. Yeah, yeah.
okay.
So you said, from that point where, if you're not saying it with true feeling, I think that was the point that it cut out.
Yes, if we're only relying on things that have been dogmatically repeated over time, so whether it's through New Age, whether it's through religion, if we didn't feel it in the heart, if we didn't have the courage to go in and really speak our truth in those arenas, then it's a weak attempt. We have to go in and say, I am a conduit of love. I have allegiance to the divine, or whatever words people want to insert. Feel it, know it, let it radiate out through your being. Don't just be there under the covers going, I invoke the Christ, because I don't know what else to say, because I know there's some dark energy in the room. Cool, you can do that. And that may be your segue into these spaces. But use what you know to be true. Feel it in the depths of your being. Come online with your consciousness and stand up. And I know I've got goosebumps even just saying it. Like, I know many people are doing this right now. They're realizing their omnipotent power, and they're standing up to these forces, and we're seeing mass awakening.
Totally. And that is the process of ascension, which is really embracing and honoring and acknowledging your own inner sovereign being, which is your ability to stand in your power without attaching to anything else around you. You just are inherently divine because you come from, God consciousness, and therefore you don't need anything else. And so if you're leaning on something else, or uh, giving away your power to another entity, or authority, then that is part of this process of being able to really raise up into the fifth dimensional, and the new golden earth is what, or the golden age, that was what we call it, or the Aquarian age. Part of that process is you have to learn how to do that, or otherwise you won't be able to hold those frequencies of being in the new energies.
Yeah, that's it, because you won't, exactly what you said, you just won't be a frequency match.
Yes.
That's why tokenism of like just repeating what someone else has repeated can work to a point. It can work to a point. There's nothing wrong with it. But unless you've gone into your own inner being and experienced it and felt it, and it radiates out from you, and then you use what's in the heart center and speak it out, talking to you, Medina, you're authentic, you've experienced it, you don't have a problem with bringing it into words, the magic of what's in your being, because it's real to you. And that's where everyone needs to come to. None of this going through a spiritual teacher or a rabbi or a priest or a minister, or a yoga teacher or a guru. We don't have to go through anyone. We are the source, like you just said.
Yeah, that's such a powerful message. So perhaps if I could get you, Karen, because I know you've had so many amazing experiences, could you share perhaps with us one of your really magical things that has happened when you've gone in and you've connected to that other higher sort of paradigm beyond, what we experience in this realm?
Oh, there's so many, Medina.
What comes to mind?
There's one coming through that wants to be spoken about, and it's probably going to make me cry, because it was a big one for the divine feminine, and it was healing rape culture. And it depends on the nature of and I have worked in formal astral mission groups, so I've gone in with groups, and then I often do them on my own, or I often do them with my beautiful man, who his third eye is, I don't know anyone with a third eye more open than him. He's just, and he can go into different dimensional planes, and he can get names of different beings. He's very specific. And yet in the 3D, he has a business as an insurance broker. So, he's got this amazing ability to operate in the 3D and work within the system. And yet he can go very very quantum. And yeah, he's a fascinating individual. But this one I did with him, and it was truly beautiful. We went in and we just see, okay, who's going to help us on this astral mission? Who are the benevolent beings that want to support us? And we had the divine goddess Sophia. I call her Sophia because a lot of people call her Sophia, but her derivative is soul fire. So it's
I love that.
she says to call her Sophia. And back in the day, she said ancient language, fire was spelled PHIA. So
And
that's
I love the fire energy. I'm a Leo and I've got that fire astrology energy myself.
okay.
I love it. Soul
This
fire.
is probably why this one's coming through. I'm sure it's for you. So we had her turn up, and we had Archangel Metatron turn up. And Chris, my partner, works a lot with Archangel Metatron, and Archangel Michael, and often Gabriel as well. So interesting the angels want to come in today.
Lovely.
And we went off on a journey, and first of all, we came into the original gold plate of the Garden of Eden, and it was so majestic and it was so beautiful.
I love
We
garden.
did record this one actually. Yeah, we did record this one for the collective. So it was so exquisite. And just even us talking about it, I could see your hand went to your heart. We feel it, like we're feeling beings. So, and when we feel it, we radiate that energy outwards. And so those gold prints are available for anyone who wants to pick up on it. Then after that, we were taken through a portal, and we went into a energetic representation of the tree of life that had a rotten root system, and the root system was feeding this darkness and this decaying energy into the waters of earth. And it was all of the inversion of our sexuality. So pornography, rape, women feeling they can't express their natural goddess beauty here because they may be a target. So many women carry weight, not because they want to, but because they've defaulted their system somewhere that it's safer. It's safer.
Yeah.
And so anyone listening to this, if that's a message for you, it's coming through to say to anyone, that's a message for you. Don't chastise yourself if you're carrying weight. There's a reason for it. And it may be a past life vow that you made, that because men, if they're not in their true connection to source, they will take. And women will take from men as well. It goes both ways. Yeah. So we went in and we were healing this rotten root system in the tree of life and cleaning up the waters with the goddess Sophia and with Archangel Metatron, and myself and Chris were in there. And it was, I carry such a strong rape culture or rape energy from past lives. My mum's a past life regressionist, and one of the most diabolical regressions I've had was being gang raped in a past life, just because we used herbs, just because we lived out in the woods and we used herbs, that we were seen as witches, and we used crystals.
It's interesting that you're mentioning that too, because I've got Monica Schmidt coming to do a talk on our island in 2 weeks' time, and she also wants to really address the wounding of the feminine of all sort of sexual violence and sexual assault and things like that, because that is a wound that we are required to address and to acknowledge and to heal, I guess, in order to be able to ascend and to raise in our consciousness and our frequency as well. And that divine feminine, that's sort of like it's like a boil that needs to be sort of, you have to pop it before you can get to the next level. And if we have these silent woundings that we're not really healing, we can't progress.
It's so true. There's so much inner clearing. I was going to say inner work, and I guess even that term makes it feel like it's not fun. So there's just so much inner adventure that we can all have, and come to know those parts of self that are wounded, and bring love to those parts of self, and revisit some of these. Sometimes we just have these flashes of memories and we go, where does that come from? It's not this life. But there's a charge or a trigger or a feeling that goes with it. And if we can just sit with self long enough, we can go deeper into it, and we can neutralize that charge, and we can come back into alignment. You know, if we start feeling bad within, having some of these inner adventures, sit in it. Don't distract yourself if you can help it,
Allow
because you'll
yourself to
erupt.
feel, because when you suppress the feelings, then that stops the whole ability to transcend it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're so on the
Yes.
same page, Carrie-Anne.
We're so on the same page. And in that transcendence, there's that joy and love of being, and euphoria, and this eruption of bliss. And for many women, their true sexuality starts to come online. They feel the pulse again down in those lower chakras. And it can frighten them a bit. They're like, God, I haven't felt that true pulse for a long time. You know, just the pulse of living, not because I'm even feeling sexual necessarily, just because it's my aliveness and my pulse, and it's my Shakti, and it starts running up my spine, and I don't have to give it away. I can be with the one that I choose, you know, and I don't have to be targeted for it either. And this force coming back online will heal the planet. It will heal the planet, and you know, it'll balance frequencies. And I do see, you know, in the new earth, that there'll be a lot of conscious couples coming together and making love to stabilize the realm, and to
Absolutely.
flourish. Yes.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And a lot of relationships that are out of alignment now are coming apart because you can't hold them together as the frequencies are increased. You can't hold something together that is not in alignment or in integrity. You know, it won't
Yes.
stay. And the other point I want to make too, which is very interesting, was that, you know, we've had so many inverted truths, like for example feminism. You know, that they said that shows like Wonder Woman were promoting strong females and feminism, but the truth of the matter is, when you look at a show like that, which is, all these types of things have been so much part of our history, that show was about a woman being attacked violently a lot of the time, and there was a real rape undercurrent in that whole series. And when she says she herself was a target of MKL Ultra programming, Linda Carter, the actress. And so, you know, when she, you know, they say, oh, this was feminism, blah, 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 it's actually completely the opposite, but it's hidden under all these layers of you know, false information. So I think when we start to unravel all that, and we realize that that has all been complete inversion of truth, that helps us to get to the core of what we really need to address.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's so fascinating. And she's sexy too. So
Yeah.
that's very interesting. I'd never,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
seen it from that perspective.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And you know, that just sort of really opens your eyes to the level of you know, all the shows that I used to watch when I was little, like Banana Splits, that had a hypnotic sort of a trance type energy to it, which was all part of the programming from, you know, that sort of you know, that cabal programming stuff. And you know, and then they had Adventure Island, and there was a woman in that, again the same thing. She was targeted all the time on, it was called Danger Island. She was targeted, this blonde, lovely looking little blonde thing, all the time by these, you know, islanders who were, you know, trying to attack her all the time. And again, it was that same thread that is in Wonder Woman, of women being attacked and raped and not being safe. So, you know, when you realize all that, it's such a big thing that we need to transmute, that's been on this planet. And so that's probably what's so coming to the fore at the moment. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I also want to speak to, you know, when I talked about the goddess Sophia, I want to speak to the inverted aspect of her, which I've also met in an astral journey. And this one we were doing as a group. And you can never know what's going to happen when you go in as a group. We have a bit of a plan, and we work in a group if we feel like there's some specific attention that may be needed. So for instance, we might go to Gaza and I went actually on my own and looked at the Stargate over Gaza, and why it's so coveted, what that fight is about for the Holy Land. But this one we
Can you
went in
share
as a
that?
group. And
Are you able to share that too?
what's that?
Are you able to maybe share
Yes, I
that too?
can.
Oh,
Yes,
lovely. Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Yeah, I
Yes,
can share that one.
yes.
And this one that we went in with the group, before I get to the Gaza one, was, we met Dark Sophia, and Dark Sophia is feminine,
Mm-hmm.
and she is putrid, hellish darkness. She is the aspect that wants her sisters to be taken down. She is all the jealous aspects that does not want her sisters to rise, that wants to be the one,
The
the
number
main
one.
feminine.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the queen. And queen's a great term, because for me, a queen means you've just put your crown chakra on you. You crowned yourself. You're like, hey, I'm here. I'm a queen. Yeah, I'm good. Like, I'm in command of self.
Yeah.
But it also has that negative connotation that you're the queen of others, And I've had girlfriends that wanted to be the queen. We must all toe the line to what she says is the way, and it's like, quickly unravel, and move off in another direction. So, the feminine's not always in alignment herself, because we speak to the masculine with the raping, but the feminine will take down the feminine too, and it's something that we can all be aware of within self, because we have the light and the shadow within self, and the propensity. Which one are we going to feed? To see what will play itself out. So something that we can all be aware of, the dark Sophia that's within. That is just as powerful as the true goddess Sophia, because they say goddess Sophia, depending on which mythology you want to go into, that she is married to God. So she has a very heightened, pure golden code to her. And we talk about Sophia's dragons, and she has under command, because Sophia, the fire aspect, with the dragons. If she wants to send dragon fire somewhere in the cosmos, she is able to do it. She is able to neutralize things when they get completely out of balance. So, but
Wow.
this inverted aspect is, she's a horror. Like
Yes.
she exists within us too. The propensity, anyway, exists within in all of us, and
Mm.
we always have to, I feel, never think it's out there. Just know that, okay, it could activate within us. That does not make us bad or wrong or evil. It just means pay attention if that starts to flicker within you, because you need to pull that into center. You need to go to the heart and understand what that's about. But yeah, sorry, I'll let you say.
Oh, well, you always spark so many ideas when you're talking. I'm thinking I could talk about that and that and that. So when, you think about women being able to go through the childbirth process, that is something that demands incredible power and resilience to be able to do that. So if you think, oh, they can do that, they must have an inherent, amazing, incredible depth of power to be able to go through that experience and come out the other side. And that was one point I wanted to make. The other one was that when I studied Pleiadian light work, they talked about when the feminine becomes corrupted and it's expressed against male energies, it can come out as corrupted sexuality, where they sort of, for example, they, like a spider, they can suck a man into their energy sexually, and then he becomes like in a trance and fixated on that, and then they take it away, and then he's like broken. So it's like using sexuality, they can also corrupt that divine feminine aspect against the male energies too. And so that I've always found that very interesting.
I'm so glad you brought that up, that succubus effect. And look, a lot of women, Medina, in the 3D, they are consciously and also unconsciously utilizing that energy. And that spider analogy is exactly what it looks like in the astral. It's exactly
Yes.
what it looks like.
Yeah, totally, totally.
Tentacles.
Yeah. So it's not that we're saying that the male energy or the female energy is perfect in any way. There are both aspects of the divine feminine and the divine masculine equally that require transmutation in order to be able to collectively allow us to go through this ascension process. So yeah, I think that's so important to share. Well, I've absolutely loved talking with you, Carrie-Anne. I'd love to do it again.
Absolutely, my love.
That would be fantastic. And I also think it's really good at the moment to think about, the unification of all our energies, when we're on the same page and we're here to contribute to the collective in the way that we both are. If there's any way that we can, support one another and unify for the greater good with, our different, networks and everything, just let me know, because, I think that's really special as well. And so please, if you could share with us, Carrie-Anne, what things you're offering at the moment and where people can contact you, and I'll leave your information below as well in the interview.
Oh, thank you, darling. Yeah, so maybe theming around what we spoke about in this great chat would be, if anyone is interested to do a masterclass in astral travel, I've got that there on, well, you could find me on Facebook and then just go to my link tree. That's a good one if people want to get started. Otherwise, we sort of do more big, like, practitioner courses, which possibly isn't, it may resonate to someone who's here listening, but they're much higher price courses, and they're like year-long training. So if you want to be a yoga teacher or a qualified healer. But what I do have coming up is some trainings, sort of more light worker training, which would include the astral travel, galactivations, and these sorts of things. I feel like consciousness is more ready for this kind of training right now, and you don't have to train in it, but for those of you who kind of want a career change, I guess, and want to work in the field and help others on their journey, these are good things to get into. And I feel for like a lot of new earth businesses, healers, light workers, light warriors, true yogis. Yoga's been really hijacked. I nearly left the yoga industry in 2020. There were so many of them just are so fake woke, they did not speak out.
And many of them
against this.
And I even knew yoga that were saying you can't attend unless you've had one of these. It's like, what? I
don't
can't
even get
YouTube,
me started. Oh. No, I'll be here for an hour. No. I
get I hear you. Without you saying, I hear you.
I was like, I got to get out of the yoga industry. Anyway, I stuck it out. I decided end of last year, no, I'm staying, and I'm quite. I mean, I'm very vocal and outspoken on my personal Facebook.
Yeah, people should go to that, by the way. It's great.
I have to start using that because we got censored so badly on the business page. So, but it's been good because I get to meet people like yourself, and we're way more aligned than some of these fake workers in the yoga world. No offense, because I know there's a lot of you that'll, you're doing your thing, and I love you. And my business name is My Health. Our My Health tribe, they were good. Like, we lost a few out of our like, we've got an online, what do you call it, like a Facebook page. We lost a few out of there when I started getting vocal, but most of them stayed and they got on board and started speaking out. I was really proud of them, but so many just fell by the wayside, which is fine. Look, I don't truly have judgment, even though I'll speak about it. I understand that they're in a great deal of fear, but they're letting their mainframe, like their mind, be hacked, and it's like, come on, we're better than this.
That's right.
But anyway, I'm digressing all over the place, but that's where people can find me. Probably these days, go to my personal Facebook page. Connect with me there, because I love the people on my personal Facebook page, Medina, because they all comment, and I learn from them. Some of them are so like, they're just so awake, and I'm like, this is gold.
They are. They totally are, and they love you. So we did miss one of the points earlier where you were going to just address what you saw when you went to the Palestine, above Palestine.
Yes, this is fascinating. So first of all, I want to do a shout out to the proper truthers on the planet who actually do bring through the 3D intel, because without them, we can't know what's going on. Yeah. Some of them, like I got shot out, Medina, I got shot out of the yoga, fake yoga world, shot into the truther arena. I got asked to do a couple of series on the Iconic Network, which is David Icke. So if people know David Icke, like, I'm like flying close to the sun there in the truther world, and I'm like, how good is this? And they are a real deal network. Like yourself, I believe you are real deal. Like, you can feel it, you're authentic, you're connected, you're cosmic, you're all of the ingredients that is needed for a proper truther. But then you've got all these other ones that jumped on the bandwagon, and some of it's not great. Some of it's over sensationalized and making up. They're like the mainstream media now, where they just want to feed the fear and get the loosh going and keep you hooked on all the dramatic storylines.
That stuff.
And look, I understand that. I do. I have no judgment. I understand it, but does it come from the heart? Are people, when you speak, Medina, it's so authentic, it's so original to you that it's like, this woman, she knows what she knows. That's it. There's nothing else.
Thanks. It didn't go down too well at secondary school. Anyway. It's all good now.
They're the kids that never went offline. They're like, no, I don't believe that. Go and stand in the corner. Think about it. Well, I'll think about it some more. I'll meditate, actually.
That's right. Look out the window.
So I have to preface it with that, because honestly, I don't follow the mainstream news and I don't really know what's going on from their perspective. So I've got to preface it. So my job really, or I choose my job to be, to go in and do like a little bit of viewing in the astral plane. So when I went in with the whole Gaza thing, what I did see was I was shown that this Gaza Strip, it represents a valve of the heart. If you look at the planet as a microcosm, as a macrocosm to our microcosm, as our physical vessel. Yeah. It represents a valve of the heart. It truly is a holy land. It truly is a promised land. But it was meant to be a pilgrimage journey for any being when they were called to go there and to enjoy the frequency, because there's a Stargate that sits over the top of it. It's a portal into higher heavens. Like, it'll take you straight away to a seventh heaven dimension whilst you're having a 3D embodied experience. So it's like what I was showing. It's like the road to Santiago in Spain, if anyone knows about that. You can do a pilgrimage there.
The Camino. I love the Camino. Yes. Shirley MacLaine has a great book on the Camino. Actually, an Australian director who's just done a documentary on the Camino as well, Bill Bennett. And I chatted to his wife in an interview, who was Jennifer Clough, the Judy in Seven Little Australians. And so he's just done a whole documentary on the Camino. So yeah, that's coming out. My way, the way, or something. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. We've got how many synchronicities have you and I got going on? And honestly, guys, for people listening, we kind of had a very brief chat and just got on, right? So we didn't plan all these syncs to come through.
That's right. I love it.
I love it. Yeah. So yeah, and that's really what the Holy Land, the Gaza Strip, it's meant for everyone. It's not even meant for two factions. No. But from a Stargate perspective, what I did see was a very archaic, sinister being that's running operations there, and has, the way it works in the astral, again, you got to think of computer technology. They have a lot of backup drives, because a lot of people do go in astrally and will take down the program, but then they respring with their backup drives. They've got endless backup drives. So once you get a little bit more proficient in astral combat, you've got to try and think of the Matrix. You've got to try and get to the original program, the mainframe. You can delete, but you've got to try and get back into these programs that they've started. There's always a delete button. It's just knowing how to go in, how to go around. Sometimes you just go in and view it to begin with, get some intel, get some insight, but look, I have learned how to do astral combat. I've got a show myself coming up about it. And maybe we can talk about it in another show, Medina. But a lot of women now do astral combat. I think a lot of women picked up the sword in 2020, and they're just like, you know what? I can wield a sword. Like,
totally.
Caliber.
Yes. Well, I have a fortnightly Patreon community called Soul Mastery Group, and we go and we do planetary healing, and so we do some of that as well, and we're doing healing for the animals this coming Tuesday, or the planetary animals, so that'll be beautiful. But it's been such a joy to talk to you, Carrie-Anne. I just feel a wonderful simpatico with you. So many synchronicities, and Yeah, so keep in touch, and we'll have another chat maybe soon. That would be beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's such a beautiful soul, and adore your forum. And it's been an absolute honor to be on here.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Carrie-Anne. So much love. And thank you everyone for watching. And all Carrie-Anne's details will be below if you'd like to contact her. So thanks. Bye.